he had himself a beautiful Cadillac that he paid for. No one knows how, no one knows why. Dr. Frank had not been practicing in years. He had resigned himself to his small practice in Havre de Grace, Maryland, in his tiny little house, one of the last colonials you could find. Big, beautiful Cadillac that he used to patrol up and down the highways in, looking for something you couldn't find at any bar back then that you could be accepted. That open. And one night, he picked up a drifter. Every scary story has one eventually. You pick up a drifter. This guy didn't have a golden hook or anything crazy like that. He was pretty common for the time. He was a runaway from the Marine Corps. The only thing uncommon about him and story time about his name was that he was Johnny Dragon. I shit you not. Google it, look it up. His name was Johnny Dragon. My uncle took him home and he kept him as his lover for weeks on end and months beyond that. So, my mother would get sent over there for summers, and long before he discovered Johnny Dragon, he would take family in, family that was distraught, family, this is the 1950s, mind you, late 50s, early 60s. My mother was a very young girl, and she was starting to mess up a little bit. My grandmother would send her out there, go get straightened up with Uncle Frank for a few weeks, get away from all this, get away from all your friends, they ain't nothing but trouble. So she would go up, she would see Uncle Frank, and she would only be given 3 very important bits of instruction. 1, ignore him. He is crazy. Everybody knows it, but he'll keep you right. 2, don't ask him what he do. We don't want to know him. He don't want you to know. 3, don't go in the basement.
Oh shit.
My mother, being my mother at any age of her life, has been a rebel. Now, ask her how all this rebellion has worked out for her in every way, shape, or form, and especially in this instance. She went in the basement. And she found out how Dr. Frank was making his money in Havre de Grace, Maryland. Pre-Roe v. Wade. Driving fancy Cadillacs, tailored suits, and thinking nothing of it. It got to the point where they had given the town a special name, but we're going to come on back to that later. He picked up Johnny Dragon about a month after my mother had left for the last time. Took him as a lover, kept him as a lover. They had a nice little accord. Things were wonderful and beautiful. If you could have seen these two walking down the street, you would have thought they were glorious roommates with good fashion sense.
Now, is this Reverend Johnny Dragon?
No, this is ex-Marine Johnny Dragon, just some random queer from the highway Johnny Dragon. Now,
Are you reading the news?
everything was lovely and blissful until one real good night where Johnny wanted to borrow the Cadillac. Hell no! You can't borrow the Cadillac, he told Johnny.
Damn straight.
Johnny upped and told Wahlberg, why can't I borrow the Cadillac? Everything I do around here, I have been here for a month and past. I take care of this house. I don't ask you no questions about how you got this house. Why can't I borrow that Cadillac? Why can't I drive down the main of the road? Why can't I look good for a day? Because you don't deserve a damn thing, because you ain't no damn thing. Now, they found Dr. Wahlberg strangled to death with his own hair clipper cord. What was curious was all the souvenirs. They went down into the basement, like my mother couldn't do, like everyone else didn't do. They went down in that basement, and they found jar after jar after jar and jar. They found catalogs, they found towns, they found schools of woulda, shoulda, coulda beens. In this massive, opulent home that they now swear could never be properly sold, could never be properly rented. It is now a medical museum because no one wants to stay there overnight. My mother never wants to talk about what she found in the basement. She just tells us to Google it. And to this day, if you look it up, you can see the town has a very ominous nickname, as it was a destination for young ladies of the compromised way. And now, a terrible horror story and its only murder on record. Its new name, spoken amongst people at parties like this, Haverdas Grace.
Wow.